welcome to today's show, Legacy Living, Make Your Life Count. I'm your host, Dr. Gloria Burgess, passionate, inspirational speaker, author, poet, and entrepreneur. Good morning, and welcome to Legacy Living, Make Your Life Count. Today is Wednesday, October 17th. I want to dedicate today's show to someone near and dear to me, my dad. Now, my dad crossed over many, many years ago, but you know what? His presence, his spirit lives on, and I actually feel his presence every single day. So here's to you. Thank you, Dad. I appreciate you, and thank you for being present for me always. My special guest today is Elena Love, a fellow expert in leadership. Her special expertise is people, and specifically, Elena is an expert on passion and purpose. If you missed my show last week, be sure to catch the podcast of my first conversation with Elena. It aired last week. As always, I want to give a big thank you to those of you listening in today. And here's a big shout out to all of you listening around the world. I'm delighted and so grateful that you tuned in. I sure hope you're enjoying a fabulous day today and that you're having a fantastic week. Because you know what? In the grand song of the universe, life is very, very short. It's short and sweet and very, very precious. So I hope you're making a difference in your own life, because when you do, you also make a difference in someone else's life. Now, a lot of folks ask me, Dr. Burgess, I want to make my life count for something, but how do I do that? And I tell them, it's really very simple. Very simple. You make your life count day by day, step by step, moment by moment, smile by smile, every single day. 365, 24/7. That's what Legacy Living, Make Your Life Count is all about. Now, you can learn more about Legacy Living, Make Your Life Count by visiting the Gloria Burgess website. That's Gloria, B as in boy, URGESS.com. That's the Gloria Burgess website, Gloria, B as in boy, URGESS.com, or by visiting my Facebook page. And that's facebook.com/DR, DR as in doctor, Gloria, BURGESS, PHD /. Now, as many of you know, I have a special burden in my heart to reach folks not only here in the United States, but all around the world, especially those folks who don't have equal access to information, and in particular, the kind of information I share here on my show. So again, my hat's off to you. Thank you for sharing the wealth. Today, I want to talk with you once again about passion and purpose, topics that are very near and dear to my heart. Specifically, we're going to focus on a new way to look at passion and purpose and how both are linked to your core identity, to who you are. In other words, today's show is all about asking yourself, what on earth am I here for, right? How might I bring my unique gifts forward in my life, in my relationships, in my work, with my team, with my community, in my neighborhood? I know that you all have burning questions about how to do this. And here today, to help us address these questions, I have a very special guest, and her name is Elena Love. Now, Elena is a person of influence, and she's an expert in helping us understand who we are and what on earth we're here for. She's deeply passionate about her work and she's very, very inspiring. Elena is a leader. She's a leader who makes a difference in her own life and in the lives of so many others throughout the world through her work with passion and purpose. Elena is the co-author of the best-selling book called The Purpose-Linked Organization. I love that title, The Purpose-Linked Organization. And the subtitle is How Passionate Leaders Inspire Winning Teams and Great Results. Elena also has a new book in the works, and her upcoming book is called Passionality. Passionality. I love it. Elena's new book explores the art and science of well-being. It also provides tools for bringing purpose and passion into our daily lives. Now, in many ways, Elena's outlook on life and in her work pulls together the many threads of what my own life and work are all about. Now, you've heard me talk about these threads and themes on this show, the themes of authenticity, integrity, hope, passion, purpose, and possibility. Elena and I had a wonderful conversation, and I'm so excited to have this amazing leader on with us today. This is going to be a fabulous show today. You don't want to miss a single word. So, put on your walking shoes, grab your earbuds, or grab yourself a cup of tea or coffee, or a nice cool glass of water, a glass of juice, and relax in your favorite chair. You're going to want to take notes today. We're going to have a great time. But before I jump into today's show, I just want to take a moment to welcome you. If you're just joining us, I'm your host, Dr. Gloria. This is Legacy Living, Make Your Life Count. I'd like to extend a very special welcome to those of you joining my show, or if you're joining the Talk Network Radio for the very first time. Let me tell you something. You are in for a real treat. I'm excited to have you listening in today, and I'm deeply honored that you've allowed me to be part of your day so you can be inspired by the ideas and resources to make your life count. Today's show is all about passion and purpose and discovering your core identity as a leader. So let's talk a little bit about your upcoming book, which is called Passionality. And I know that you have taken this work much further than what we've already covered. Can you talk a little bit about how expressing our passions can shape and influence our overall health and well-being?
Well, it's really interesting as I began doing the work to create this next book, Passionality. That old scientist in me sort of reared its head again, and I began to wonder what's out there in the literature that makes a connection between passion and well-being. And there's an entire field of what's called positive psychology now.
Yes.
That's just ripe with information around this. And I began to investigate it. I wanted to understand a little bit more about it. And I kept running into information over and over again that was making this connection between our passions and how our lives are led in a way in which we feel that they're authentic, which in turn reduces the level of stress that we feel every single day. Getting up and putting a costume on and pretending to be somebody else every day is pretty tiring, pretty exhausting. And when we can work from a place of our true selves, we tend to feel a better sense of well-being. And as the researchers and scientists have looked at this connection, they've begun to realize that when we are not working from that place, we are actually damaging our health and well-being.
Mm-hmm.
And, intuitively, we all understand that. If we've learned over the years that if we're working in very stressful situations, that it can cause all kinds of different disease issues with us. Well, what's really interesting is that there's a whole body of research on this that are being done in a variety of different arenas. One, for example, is a study that's been done routinely for many, many years by the Gallup organization, where they've looked at levels of engagement at work. And by that I mean that sense of I'm happy to get up and go to work in the morning. I feel like I'm doing work that's important. I feel a sense of connection to my work. I'm happy to be there. And they go into organizations routinely and they measure levels of employee engagement. And what they noticed is that when they went back to the same company and remeasured engagement up to 2 years later, the individuals who were considered to be disengaged at work in that first study, people who weren't happy in their jobs, maybe were even toxically miserable at work, if they went back and measured that same population again a couple of years later, those folks who were disengaged were more than 2 times more likely than their coworkers to have been diagnosed with depression. Mm-hmm. So working in that environment actually drove them to mental unhealthy situations.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Then other studies have been done that have looked at what happens when you continue to work from that place in your life and in your job, and you have your DNA looked at. There is a study done measuring the telomere on the end of the DNA strand, which is sort of, think of it like the protective plastic coating that you have on the end of a shoestring that keeps it from unraveling. The telomere plays that same role for our DNA. It protects it from oxidation. And when individuals are living and working outside of the zone of their passions and their purpose, or living and working in what I'll call stressful situations, it actually affects the telomere of the DNA, and the telomere shortens, making the DNA much more susceptible to oxidation, which in turn brings on chronic diseases, heart disease, diabetes, other kinds of illnesses. What's more concerning is that you actually pass that shortened DNA on to your offspring.
Oh, my.
So someone who is living in that situation, who then has children, has passed that DNA on to their children. So the children are actually at a disadvantage before they're even born. So that was a significant finding, and it's being borne out in some other work in that same arena. I'm failing to remember the name of the book that was just published that looked at some of that data, but if I do remember it, I'll let you know. The other thing that the research is showing is that when people are either happy or unhappy at work, despite the fact that you might think you can keep others from knowing about it, you actually can't. There was this wonderful study done in Europe where they looked at couples who were married and living together, both of whom worked. And they found that when one or the other of the spouse was having a good experience at work, it actually impacted the relationship and the mood of the other person. Mm-hmm. And the reverse was also true. When someone was having a bad experience at work, it actually crossed over to their spouse.
Yes.
And they also found that it impacted their children as well. So if the parents were miserable and unhappy in their jobs and not feeling like that they had a sense of purpose and passion for their work, they noticed that the children were acting out more at school, getting in trouble more often than parents who had a good and happy, fulfilling experience.
What you're talking about, I do a lot of work in this arena of positive psychology, but it's connected to gratitude, not passion per se. And gratitude and passion are actually linked as well, but that's another conversation.
It's true. It absolutely is true. Mm-hmm.
And so what you're saying to me just is so present and resonant for me. Thank goodness that